This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020, getting into the week here. We have a lot to talk about, and like we did the last couple of days, we're going to do news for about an hour, and then we're going to open up our phone lines in hour number two to let you call on in with your opinions and questions and comments and observations. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble, so we might as well get right on into it. First of all, tonight is the peak of the Leonids meteor shower for you astronomy buffs out there, of which I am one. Of course, the best time to see them is before sunrise in the morning, but you should be able to see some of them, at night after sunset as well. So might be worth, staying outside a little bit and keeping an eye open here. All righty, getting right on into it. The fight over the White House is continuing, and we're starting to see signs of panic among the Democrats for several reasons. The first and foremost, let's be honest, election fraud has existed as long as there have been ballot boxes. And for the most part, the American people have always been gulled back into believing that overall the elections are honest and fair and there's nothing to look at here. Even Richard Nixon, when he realized that John F. Kennedy stole the election from him, he chose not to make a fuss about it rather than risk the American people finding out that elections are in fact stolen. Of course, today is different. And there was so much election fraud everywhere. Even Democrats are saying, this is a little suspicious. There's definitely something weird going on here. So even people on the other side are questioning just what really happened with this last election here. Now, Rudy Giuliani is saying that they are now ready to go to the Supreme Court with two specific cases that they're going to be taking up there. And they're basically dealing with the irregularities. And of course, they're being fought tooth and nail at the state and local level by every single Democrat out there, and even some turncoat Republicans who, again, they want you, the American people, to go back to sleep and dream of honest elections. It's not going to happen. We reported on this last week, but apparently it's continuing to happen. Story out of Madness Hub. Trump lawyer harassed and threatened by an attorney working for a law firm representing the Pennsylvania Secretary of State. And apparently these threats are really starting to have an effect, because three more lawyers representing Donald Trump's campaign withdrew from their case on the night before the start of oral arguments in the Pennsylvania election case there. Now, fortunately, Rudy Giuliani was able to step on in and take over, and they've got other lawyers as well. But apparently the lawyers, Linda Kearns, John Scott, and Douglas Brian Hughes, made an official court filing Monday saying that the campaign had consented to their withdrawal. Well, you don't want anybody who's working for you that isn't enthusiastic about it. But that, again, it's real brown shirt tactics when you're out there threatening people who won't go along with your agenda. And it shows how dangerously close to dictatorship the United States is, if it is not already descended into such, to see these kind of tactics. Okay. Now, here is a real weird, and the Democrats are getting desperate. This is from the GregJarrett.com, and it's a podcast talking about how Democrats are now trying to float the claim that even going to court is a threat to democracy. Well, it's a threat to their brand of democracy, which is crooked voting machines and stuffed ballot boxes. But it is a ridiculous claim on the face of it, and it does betray a certain desperation on the cusp of madness. Now, Kayleigh McEnany stopped by Hannity on Monday night and came on in and said the Democrats got 4 years of conspiracy theories and investigations into Russiagate. And now they're saying that it's improper and potentially illegal to probe voter fraud. Talk about a double standard here. And again, for the Democrats to be making arguments like that, I think they're starting to lose confidence that this is going to work, that they're going to pull it off, especially against an American people aware this election was definitely stolen without question. And that may explain why Kamala Harris has not yet resigned her Senate seat. Now, there's an interesting little story that's breaking. Apparently, the boss of the Philadelphia mob, Skinny Joey Merlino, is out there basically saying that he helped in the heist of the 2020 presidential election, and basically was saying that he was arranging for phony ballots to be filled out at a rate of $10 per ballot. And for the 300,000 election ballots marked for Biden was a total price of $3 million for just 3 days of work. These ballots were then packaged into nondescript cardboard boxes and dropped off outside the Philadelphia Convention Center. Okay, well, apparently this Philadelphia mob boss, Skinny Joey Merlino, is having second thoughts. The story is that he did this on the assumption that Biden would erase his entire criminal record and he could go off and retire with all of his ill-gotten gains without worrying about being arrested. But something has gone wrong there, and apparently he's starting to talk among people about flipping on Biden. Now, we have to be careful. This could be another hidden watermark story or some other such dodge to keep us hoping that the system will fix itself. But it is an interesting little story that nonetheless here. Now, over in Georgia, apparently as part of their vote, and they're trying really hard to make the vote come out exactly the same it did on election night. They were even talking about this on Fox News. Well, common sense is going to tell you if you take the same stack of ballots without disqualifying any, and you run them through the exact same voting machine, you will get the exact same result, even if the voting machine is skimming votes from Trump and assigning them to Biden, because it's going to follow its programming exactly both times. However, in the process of doing the recount, Floyd County found a box of over 2,600 ballots that had not been counted. Most of them were for Donald Trump. And so already that recount is the election is actually the election for the entire country is tainted, and nobody should make any assumptions about voters based on what we're told the states voted for or did not vote for, because we don't really know. Getting on back to Georgia, Project Veritas actually caught the recount auditors calling multiple ballots for Joe Biden that were actually marked for President Trump. And apparently they were doing this thing where they'd pick up a ballot. Oh, it's Trump, pass it on. Oh, it's Trump. Oh, it's, pass it on. And then the last auditor in the line saying, no, this isn't for Joe Biden. This is for Donald Trump. And so they got that on Project Veritas. I mean, obviously, if you have stolen an election and you're ordered to do a recount, you steal the recount. I mean, that's just common sense. You know that's going to happen. That's why you need to bring in outsiders, which is not being allowed. Now, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has been dodging demands that he resign, and instead is trying to pass the buck down to the elections director and asking him to resign after the find of the 2,600 uncounted ballots. So the fight is still definitely on out there. Over in Michigan, the Michigan Court of Appeals yesterday rejected an appeal for an independent audit of ballots over allegations of voter fraud. And like I just said a minute ago here, if you've rigged the actual election, you're going to rig the recount. And you should have independent. But the Court of Appeals said no. And an interesting little story surfaced that the state of Michigan want the Democrats to bail out their pension debt. So it seems like there may have been a little bit of a quid pro quo leading to that court's decision. I mean, the whole system is just corrupt from top to bottom. It really is here. Now, out in Arizona, Congressman Andy Biggs is requesting a 100% audit of the Maricopa County, Arizona ballots because of allegations of fraud out there. It's probably going to be easier for us to count the states where election fraud did not take place as soon as we can find one. Down in Texas, there was an undercover sting operation exposed a massive voter fraud ring that was working for the Democrats. And investigative journalists discovered the election fraud schemes in Texas. They got video showing operatives bribing and coercing people to vote Democratic, even going so far as to illegally alter their votes on the ballot. This is another victory by Project Veritas. They are getting all these leads from whistleblowers all over the country, and they're just scrambling as fast as they can to get video on all of these things. All righty, story coming on out from Station Gossip. Apparently, there was a cyber expert who reviewed the voting machines used in the United States elections and said they're full of weaknesses. You know, they're wide open to fraud. And he said this before the 2020 election. Now, Sidney Powell dropped a small bomb on the Mark Levin show, not on the show itself, but she said, we have witnesses who are at the creation of the Smartmatic system. It was used to change election results. And apparently, she went on to say there's a staggering evidence of vote fraud. Dominion machines are engineered and designed to steal elections worldwide. All righty. Now, this is a little bit scary. This could lead to a constitutional crisis or violence in the streets. This is coming from Breitbart. Apparently, executives from Fortune 500 corporations saying they will intervene if Biden is not inaugurated into office by January 20th, 2021. Well, that's the day when the inauguration is supposed to happen. So CBS News reported in a conference call, Fortune 500 executives were planning to step in on behalf of Biden to pressure Republican lawmakers if President Trump holds up the former vice president's transition. Now, again, the deadline for the election to be over is December 14th, which is when the states have to submit the electors for the Electoral College. If they cannot do it at that time, the election is thrown into the House of Representatives, according to the Constitution. This is the letter of the law. Now, the way the House handles the election, it's not done by the individual representatives, but by states. States get one representative each. And while the Democrats have a razor-thin majority in terms of bodies, they are way behind in terms of the number of states. The GOP have 30 states compared to the Democrats' 20. And so if it goes to the House, Trump will win. And I'm sure Nancy Pelosi will be up there screaming and crying and, talking about Trump's coup d'etat. Now, a lot of people commented back when Trump won in 2016 that he made these noises about, how much respect he had for Hillary Clinton and the fight that she'd fought in the campaign. And a lot of people thought this was his signal to her that he was going to leave her alone. And thus it did transpire. The same thing when he made some very nice comments about Ghislaine Maxwell, who seems to so far be above prosecution. So now we have Biden saying he does not want Donald Trump investigated after he leaves office. So I think Biden is basically making an offer to Donald Trump, concede, and I'll make sure that you never have to go into court for whatever it is the Democrats are imagining that he did here. Now, Nancy Pelosi's got her hands full right now because the Biden administration, the transition team, is looking at tapping members of the House of Representatives for the new administration. And Nancy Pelosi is dealing with a problem in that a lot of those Democratic representatives come from states whose governorships were flipped this last election. That's one of the odd things about this last election. The Republicans made a lot of gains in terms of governorships and state legislatures. It was only the presidential election that's everybody was trying to rig here. And Pelosi is worried that enough Democrats could leave the House of Representatives for administration jobs only to be replaced by Republican representatives by the governors of the states they come from. And that could, in fact, result in the Democrats losing control of the House. Maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had something after all the other day when she said the Democrats had lost control of the House. All right, earlier today, Zuckerberg and Dorsey returned to Capitol Hill for another going over by the Senate Judiciary Committee, talking about Section 230, and this is their second time appearing there. And it got a little bit intense. Ted Cruz was going after Jack Dorsey over whether Twitter is a publisher. They went after them for very obvious election interference on behalf of the Democrats and censorship of GOP voices. And the CEOs are trying to explain how this was all really in the name of fairness and equality here. But Jack Dorsey basically admitted that they had erred in blocking the New York Post article on Hunter Biden, and that they had worked very quickly to restore the link and the New York Post's account as well. Well, that was because there was a huge outcry on the internet is why that happened. Anyway, Senator Mike Lee is out there saying that Facebook and Twitter are guilty of deceptive trade practices and could face consequences for that. One of the other issues that was raised but not answered was whether these social media companies were coordinating their censorship activities. If they were in fact communicating with each other, ban this person, ban this thread, kill this URL, so forth and so on. And none of the CEOs could answer that one. And here is where, we see the storm clouds on the horizon. Barack Obama. Now, back in 2008, Barack Obama used the internet and social media to help win the White House. And now he's completely turned around and said the internet is the single biggest threat to our democracy. They want that to go away. They want to go back to the good old days where they could lie to you with impunity and there was nobody out there to say, hey, you're being lied to again. And they very well may do it. They may shut down independent media and impose such strict filtering that dissenting voices are silenced. But if they think the American public is going to go back to trusting the corporate media anytime soon, they're dreaming. Trust arrives on foot, but departs on horseback. And now free speech application Parler. I know a lot of people call it parlor because of the way it's spelled, but it's the French pronunciation. The word means speak, parler. Okay? Parlez-vous français, for example. All right. And apparently a tech researcher over at CNN, Bridget Barrett, she's a political ads lead researcher, and apparently she's upset by the fact that conservatives now have an online forum to share their ideas. How dare they do that? Don't they understand that freedom of speech only applies to Democrats? And so she literally came on out and said that Parler is harmful to democracy. I mean, it's really out there here. Okay, MailChimp is deplatforming Trump supporters as big tech continues its war on conservatives, which are us, because I find the liberals so disgusting. And apparently over in Europe, police launched coordinated raids in 7 countries early today as part of a clampdown on online hatred and incitement to violence. They raided 83 apartments. 96 suspects are being questioned about hateful posts they made online. And the danger there is the definition of hate can be very, very slippery. We're going to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
At Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate. I want to do just
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. We are not supported by large corporations or conservative billionaires or any billionaires for that matter. And we rely on you, the listenership, to keep us going. We go through a lot of equipment very quickly. It costs a lot to stay on the air, on the net. And we need your help is really what it comes down to. So once again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. I was just watching here, again, Fox News, and I know they're starting to shift left as well, but they're interviewing Senator Rand Paul, and he was talking about the violence in the streets and about his own being accosted outside the White House. And he says the violence is all coming from the anti-Trump protesters. And he's disgusted that the D.C. courts just let these people go on their own recognizance. And he says it's time to identify the violent people, and to do something about them. And I heartily agree. All righty, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. It's still out there. States are starting to crack down, and they're just talking now about how we're going to have to cancel Thanksgiving and probably Christmas as well, and just take all of that stuff away from us. And it's just making people grouchy, to be very, very honest. I got an email from somebody saying, well, just think of all those turkeys that will not be killed to go to market. And they don't understand how farming works, because no farm is going to go on feeding those turkeys. If they don't sell them, they'll still be killed and, donated hopefully to food banks, but otherwise thrown in a landfill. So it's really not that good a thing for the turkeys, all joking aside here. Now, as you're already aware, Moderna came out with their own vaccine to rival Pfizer's. They're claiming it's 94.5% effective, and Trump is hailing Moderna's great discovery and trying to imply that it took place on his watch, which it did. And Joe Biden has come back saying that all Americans are still months away from being vaccinated. And I'm already hearing people saying that we're going to be doing masks and social distancing until next winter, not this coming winter, but a year from now here. Now, Biden is out there saying that the only reason Americans question COVID-19 vaccines is Trump, which is complete nonsense. There are a lot of Americans who question all vaccines because of all the vaccine injuries. And like I said, I keep thinking back to 1976 and the mandatory swine flu vaccine that killed more people than the swine flu did. And again, taking another shot at Trump. And I've noticed just in the last 2 days an uptick of Trump bashing. And it's another indicator to me that the Democrats are starting to worry they're not going to be able to pull off this election theft. So we'll see where that's going to go here. All righty. Apparently last October 2nd, the city of Las Vegas updated their coronavirus restrictions for businesses, arguing that the city's compliance ambassadors, there's a new term for you, were simply observing behaviors and verifying whether violations were occurring here. But apparently they're sending these so-called compliance ambassadors to check businesses to make sure they're following these arbitrarily set rules. Now, up in Michigan, lawmakers are pushing for Governor Whitmer's impeachment over the new lockdown order. And they're saying it's now overdue. And they're looking basically at how angry the people are getting. I mean, we're already seeing riots in Europe against the lockdowns. And, it's going to start happening here very, very soon. And of course, it is, wrecking our economy. It really is. And our economy was not robust before the pandemic, but this is really the death blow that's going to put us into a new depression. And everybody will blame it on the pandemic. There won't be a word about banker fraud or overprinting of the dollar by the Federal Reserve. It's all going to be blamed on the pandemic. Can trust me on that one. Another story, this one coming out of Cuz Blue. This relates back to something that happened over the weekend where the CDC actually admitted that less than 10,000 people in the entire United States have died solely from the COVID-19 virus. And looking at this article from Cuz Blue, they're showing that the CDC listed 26,557 heart attacks as COVID deaths. They listed 7,919 accidents and poisonings as COVID deaths. And we have seen since the very beginning efforts to inflate the numbers. There were financial incentives going into care providers and hospitals. And somebody wanted those numbers way up there high to get you scared to vote in person, I guess. We'll be right back after these few commercials.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Feel Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners, so that you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
After about a month of Extendovite, I don't know what it is about the circulation factor. I was able to increase the weight, increase the amount of sets I could do. It has to do with the oxygen getting to the blood. You should market this as an athletic performance. And I don't change anything about my diet or anything. I just thought, this is amazing. Bilberry extract is got something called resveratrol in it, which is the same stuff that you get from red wine. It's also good for eyesight. And I was reading that the Royal Air Force during World War II would give their pilots bilberry jam so they could have better night vision stuff. This is amazing.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Wall Street wizards on the land from a mental institution claim private retirement funds. Yeah, they are the best solution. But when the markets crash, we'll be asking where's the cash. Guess them folks in D.C. must be smoking Texas hash. Will Congress pay the piper when all the money's gone? Replace them all, start over.
Welcome back to our show here. And apparently Joe Biden has announced he is cutting the guest list to his Thanksgiving dinner to guard against COVID and is pleading with Americans to do the same. So I've already told Claire she's going to have to stay in the bedroom while I'm having my Thanksgiving dinner. And of course, the big question is, will Hunter Biden be showing up there? Because they've been keeping him under wraps for quite a bit here. And, I'm sure that Hunter is feeling a little bit of the pressure there. Anyway, apparently Sweden is now limiting public gatherings because of the so-called second wave. And they're claiming record daily numbers of new cases, growing pressures on hospitals. But again, we cannot trust those numbers because we know that they are being inflated for some political/propaganda purpose. And I think back to that comment that Canada's Trudeau made the other day, that the coronavirus presented an opportunity for a reset. And we're starting to hear reset all over the place, the Great Reset or the Grand Reset, tied in with COVID-19. Over in France, they're now doing lockdown checks, and they're basically stepping up the controls Prime Minister Jean Castex is saying people are not abiding by the rules as strictly as they did during the first lockdown back in the spring. Apparently, police broke up an illegal party hosting about 400 people at Joinville-le-Pont near Paris early on Saturday. And now we're hearing that France may impose a rule that you have to have some kind of a written explanation as to why you are leaving your house. You know, papers, please, paper, please, you know. So I guess the Nazis finally got control of France after all here. Over in Greece, protesters there against the lockdowns were sprayed with tear gas. Others were detained during scuffles earlier today in Athens. And they took to the streets to defy a ban on large gatherings and apparently also to commemorate the anniversary of the crushing of the 1973 student uprising against the military leaders who were then ruling Greece. Okay. Story coming on out of Children's Health Defense. Oh, this is from Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s group here. One of the people on our text feed was saying the bigger question is if you make Claire stay in the bedroom while you eat is whether she'll let you back in that room. Well, yeah, I should take that into consideration. Anyway, getting on back to more serious news here. For the second time in a week, we've had news of a promising COVID-19 vaccine. It bumped the stock markets on a joyride, although it didn't really end all that well for the Dow. They ended a little bit in the red. Anyway, but apparently, you know, the media is lauding these vaccines, you know, how wonderful they're going to be, while they're downplaying the risks. And the Pfizer vaccine has already been shown to have some very troubling side effects to it, but it's not being reported. And it reminds me of that story that happened at Fox News a long time ago, where these two reporters were sent out to do a report on Monsanto's synthetic bovine growth hormone. And they discovered there were serious problems with it, that people who were eating the meat and dairy products from the treated cows were developing health problems. So they came on back and wrote the story. Fox News ordered them to change it, to take out the negative parts and turn it basically into a Monsanto puff piece. The reporters refused and were fired. They sued for wrongful termination and lost when the appeals court said there is no law that requires the corporate media to tell the truth to the. And I'm getting a sense that we're getting the same treatment again, where we're being told these vaccines are going to be wonderful, and then we find out after the fact they're not going to be. I mean, the media was telling us the swine flu vaccine in 1976 was going to be wonderful, and it wasn't. So we need to be very, very cautious here. And I think there really ought to be a law that the corporate media is required to be truthful to the public. And if they are not, that they can face penalties, including dissolution of their corporation. If corporations are people, according to Citizens United, then they should be subject to the same laws as everybody else in the cases of libel and slander. And some of these crimes might involve a corporate death penalty. And I think that would be a really good thing to have. All righty now. The panic buying apparently is beginning again. People across the United States are emptying the shelves of toilet paper, food, and disinfectant. Apparently, it's not as bad as it was the first time, but you may want to have a little buffer of these essential items in your home. Okay, now, Great Reset Mastermind Klaus Schwab is suggesting a number of draconian measures for controlling the population under the umbrella of what's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, including risk assessment brain scans to cross borders and implantable chips to read your thoughts. And apparently, World Economic Forum founder Schwab has repeatedly emphasized how technocrats need to take advantage of the coronavirus pandemic to implement the Great Reset. which, as I mentioned before, was echoed by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recently. Okay. So it's definitely out there, and definitely the coronavirus pandemic is being used for nefarious purposes. Getting on to international news here, Donald Trump has launched a massive troop withdrawal from Iraq and Afghanistan. He's going to have another 2,000 troops home from Afghanistan by January 15th. This will leave 2,500 in country. And it looks like Trump wants to pull the plug on as many wars as he can before Biden can arrive and keep them deployed for another 4 years. Of course, Biden can come into office and simply say, put them on a plane and send them back. And proving that we're getting ready for a war with somebody, the U.S. Navy has succeeded in shooting down an ICBM in space from a warship on the water just off the northeast coast of Hawaii. This was a landmark test, and the test ICBM was launched from Kwajalein Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The interceptor missile was fired from an Aegis equipped ship, the USS John Finn. Let's talk about the economic news here. A little bit of good news coming out from the new Biden administration. We're saved, huzzah, huzzah. Apparently, Biden is filling his economic posts with experts on systemic racism. Now, doesn't that sound really nifty? Biden has tapped Marsha Baradaran, whose book, The Color of Money, is a key reference on the racial wealth gap. Doesn't really focus on those athletes who are raking in millions of dollars, not to mention the rap music artists here. But call me silly, but if I were the president, I would want to get some economists into those economic slots, not experts on systemic racism. I mean, that bodes very, very well here. Okay, story coming out of safehaven.com. The $349 billion in loans the federal government promised struggling small businesses ran out of money last Thursday. And the money that was lent out went mostly to big businesses who didn't really need it. And the plan was called the Paycheck Protection Program, and it was meant to provide a lifeline for small businesses at risk of going under because of COVID-19. So for any small business attempting to get a loan, they hit a wall right at the starting gate. And they were told they could only pursue a loan with a participating bank, and they had to have the relationship with the bank. So it was a little bit of hijacking there. Well, there's a big pool of money being put on out there. The money junkies are going to go for it. It's their latest fix. All righty. The government's own jobs report for October of this year says that about 32% of Americans are unemployed. That is Great Depression levels. Now, Airbnb is going to file an IPO and go public next month. And it revealed the company made a $219 million profit in the third quarter after cutting costs. Meanwhile, the Boy Scouts of America appear to be headed, sadly, for bankruptcy amid 82,000 claims of sexual abuse. And apparently, as of yesterday, the claims have been filed. There's lawsuits involved, and it does not look like the Boy Scouts are going to survive. And that, I think, is a shame. Now, they should not have allowed the abuse to happen. There is no question the abuse did happen. But unfortunately, like the church, they chose to cover it up rather than deal forthrightly with it. And now they are paying the price for it. In fact, so is the church. They're getting sued, and they're losing lots of money. And I wonder how people throwing the money into those trays feel that it's going for, bail money and legal fees and so forth. Down in Texas, in North Texas specifically, the North Texas Food Bank distributed more than 600,000 pounds of food for 25,000 people on Saturday. I remember what I said before about the turkeys going to food banks. Apparently, they had 7,280 turkeys that were distributed to families. And apparently, photos provided by the food bank show thousands of cars lined up for the drive-through mobile pantry at Fair Park. And they're saying the need for food has certainly increased with the pandemic, with Texas last week becoming the first U.S. state to report supposedly 1 million cases of COVID-19. Turning to a little bit of immigration globalism news here. Apparently, Joe Biden plans to immediately halt construction of Donald Trump's southern border wall as soon as he gets into office, but is not going to tear down what has already been built in place. So there's 12 miles of entirely new fencing, which is really not all that much because the people smugglers can certainly drive 12 miles extra to get where they need to go. Now, in response to the jihadist terror attack in Vienna last week, the government of Austria is looking at passing a law making it illegal to spread political Islam in the country. And this is a response to when this lone gunman killed 4 people, injured 23 others during a rampage that began in the city's historic quarter. Now, the culprit, 20-year-old Kushtim Fezsulay, was an ISIS sympathizer. And apparently under the new law, preaching political Islam will be a criminal offense. Okay. Apparently, the CDC is not testing refugees for COVID, flouting public health requirements. And as you're already aware, Biden is planning on opening those gates back up and flooding this country with all kinds of immigrants and refugees who can be counted on to vote Democratic from now until the sun swallows the planet Earth. In the realm of political correctness, apparently administrators at the Burbank Unified School District are now banning several classic novels because they are considered racist. This includes To Kill a Mockingbird, Huckleberry Finn, Of Mice and Men, and many more. And, I think a label saying, this contains racist material ought to keep the liberals happy. But no. Meanwhile, have you noticed on those programs that are still being produced in the middle of the COVID epidemic, they're getting awfully preachy. I had started watching Lovecraft Country on HBO, mostly because I wanted to see the visual effects. And it just got into this constant rant about racism. And I finally I quit watching about halfway through because that's not why I turn on the TV to be lectured at. I turn on the TV to be entertained, to be distracted from the ugly reality that we're all living in right now. Remember when the ACLU used to champion free expression? The good old days here. But apparently Chase Strangio, who's a lawyer with the ACLU, is out there trying to stop a book to get it killed so it can't be published. And apparently the book was written by Abigail Shrier on the rise of transgender transitioning, and it featured the regret of some of those who transitioned at an early age. That's a real big unspoken of problem with the transgender community, are those who go through the surgery and the hormone treatments realize it doesn't fix the problems they were dealing with, and then they like to go back, but they can't. Okay, a little bit of computer news here. Microsoft is hitting the brakes on Windows 10 updates next month. And they're telling basically Windows 10 owners and IT admins not to expect any updates in December, to basically give them a break when staffing levels are low over the holiday season. Isn't that nice of Microsoft to do that? A little bit of good news, of course. The Dragon Crew X has docked with the International Space Station, and there was a hug and an embrace. It was 27 hours from launch to docking, and the 4 astronauts meet their new crewmates in space. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the Space Launch System. This is NASA's new super rocket or mega rocket. This is the replacement to the iconic Saturn V. And apparently, they're starting to put the hardware through its paces, and they're getting ready for some critical tests on it. Now, it's 212 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty, and it is the most powerful launch vehicle seen since the Saturn V in the 1960s. Okay, we have to take a break for commercials, more news, and phone calls after these words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? The preacher man wags his head while the rich man turns away. His
Welcome back to our show here. A couple more stories, and then we're going to open the phone lines here. We were talking about the space launch system, and certainly wish them well. We hope better luck than over in Europe, where they had one of their Vega rockets suffered a major failure, and $400 million worth of satellites was destroyed. Now, a little bit of bad news from NASA. Apparently, an audit was done on the plan to return to the moon with a manned crew and a woman by 2024. And the audit report is saying that may not be likely. They need sustained leadership from the president as well as the appropriate funding. Relativity Space has successfully tested its Aeon-1 rocket engine, running it at full power for 187 seconds. What makes this unique is this is a 3D printed rocket engine, and that could certainly revolutionize the manufacture of spacecraft. Okay, the phone lines are open. Area code 512-248-8252. And let's go to, Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
I'm a little out of breath because it took, it was hard racing everybody else to that finish line to talk to you first.
Okay. Well, you got in there. You got the ribbon.
Thank you very much. I do live in Canada. Everybody gets a trophy up here,
Yes.
So the mainstream media lies, you talked about a lot earlier. There's only one thing worse. State-sponsored media lies.
Yes. Well, that's why Republic Broadcasting
and I'm living it up here in Canada.
Those kinds of sponsors. That's why we need your help.
Yep, and I do that.
Thank you.
So you did mention, of course, that it's now out there that Trudeau did talk about, say the reset.
Yes.
So I bet you his bum is getting spanked right now by his UN buddies.
I'm sure they are.
Oh yeah, this is the reason why Donald Trump could not win the White House, because he wants no part of that stuff whatsoever. And in fact, when you think about it, Mike, if the United States were to close all of its military bases and bring all of the people home, what would happen to the rest of the world?
They'd probably be a lot happier.
Chaos ensue. Yeah, and also, I think at that point, the U.S. would lose its, world reserve currency status. But
that's already happening slowly.
I think. Yeah, I think just before that, what would happen is you would see a lot of growth in the United States, because all of those dollars that were being sent overseas to pay all those people are now being sent into the United States.
Yep.
Subsequently, how many millions of people are stationed overseas, Mike?
Okay, Al, I got to put you on hold.
I should say millions.
Okay, don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. foreclosure. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Welcome to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
And welcome back to our show here, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. And we're talking with Al in Canada about what would happen if the United States just gave up trying to conquer the world and brought all those people back home and stopped spending all of that money on things that go bang in the night. Because we're talking about something like $800 billion a year, plus the black budgets and the cost of the wars directly, at a time when we cannot forgive the student loan debt or even provide decent health care to our own people. So by any reasonable definition, we're in a wartime economy, and I think we've had enough of that. So Al, what do you say to that?
By that black budget, I'm wondering, is that funded by all the illicit drugs pouring into the United States?
No, it's funded by us. They just won't tell us where they're spending it.
Yeah, well, I'm living that right now. Canada hasn't had a budget in over a year, but they seem to be spending, $500 billion somewhere. And, one of the places they did put some of that was into this housing market that we're sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
That still hasn't had a correction. And of course, you're going to have a correction in your country again.
Oh,
you
yes.
had one in 2009. We didn't go through that. The average price of a house in Canada, Mike, is over $600,000, which would be, probably $440,000 in the U.S. dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So, things are just so out of control now that you can almost see where this is leading. Besides all these little, the innuendos and whatnot about this global reset, I don't know exactly the minds of these people, but I do suspect it's probably going to be nefarious based upon what we've seen. And we're going to end up, a lot worse off than we are now. And the only thing that's stopping them right now is your country. So, but just before everything goes sour, I think if the United States were to pull back everything, there'd be, this resurgence of American growth, just like after World War II. And it would
at the very least, we could repair all the stuff that's falling apart in this country. We'd have decent roads, decent rails, decent bridges. But it's all been allowed to corrode into uselessness because, all the money is either going into political corruption or the war machine. And Eisenhower warned us.
Yeah. And who's doing this? So the people that are actually running the world, which aren't the politicians, are actually doing this. They're actually in control of all of this. And it's on full display with Twitter and Facebook. I watched that Ted Cruz interaction with that Dorsey,
Jack Dorsey. Yeah.
And Jack Dorsey. I haven't been on Twitter, so I don't know. But there's no way that guy, Jack Dorsey, is anything even remotely close to being as intelligent as Ted Cruz.
True.
Well, I mean, it's unfair right away, and they're gonna cry about these sort of things. The liberals have a funny way of finding little cracks in windows and doors where they could just sneak through and then turn around and look at the big picture and point their fingers back at everybody else. It's crazy. It's crazy what these people do. Anyways, I've taken up enough of your time, Mike. You have other callers. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? A lot of is on my mind, but I'm telling you, first of all, this election it's just so sorry what's going on. It's so obvious that this is a complete fraud, and I hope in the final analysis, rather than let Biden get back into the White House, I think Trump probably should declare martial law, because anything is better. Because this is cool as it is. So why not have a counter coup, which would be a martial law? He then could conduct a new election, demand a new election, hopefully by paper counting, and start arresting some of the scumbags who stole this election in the first place, including these people who own these machines and people who were, messed up this mail count, and which should never be allowed again. And that leads me into COVID. The thing is, if we hadn't had the big scare and these punks who are afraid to go to a voting booth hadn't started whining and crying, this whole thing would have never started with the mail-in ballots. Matter of fact, this I blame on Trump himself for locking the country down in the first place, or at least not unlocking it after 2 weeks. And that means, and he's still not lifting this emergency act, which enables these governors, these disgusting little Napoleons and Hitlers, to continue their restrictions on the people. Who are they to tell me I can't go to I'm going to Thanksgiving. I mean, we're going to have, everybody I know is going to have Thanksgiving dinner as far as I know, okay? Except the little fraidy cats that are hiding behind masks in their beds, okay? Afraid of this little cold. That's all it is. Like, I was at the gym today, okay? I was working out. I had a pretty good workout today. So I'm getting back into the pre-COVID shape, you know what I mean? Before I, when they close the gyms, I'm afraid they might close it again. Who knows? But I was, so I was hitting a heavy bag, and I busted open my hand a little bit, my knuckle. So, obviously I went to get a Band-Aid, put it on, not because I'm worried about the stupid cold, because I'm worried about a possible, staph infection or something like that. Okay? That's why. So, of course, so I covered it up. Because those things are much more dangerous than this cold virus. It's not doing anything. People are coming down with this thing with so-called cases. They don't have a case. They have nothing. Nothing.
No, they're calling anybody who tests positive a case here. But, look at pandemics in the past here. There should be piles of bodies all over the place, and we don't have that.
Of course. Mike, the thing is this. Somebody gets the sniffles, and they go to get a test. And then, of course, the test may come up positive because sniffles very well may be some kind of a coronavirus, which is cold. This is, I just don't understand these people. And they run around with their stupid masks on. I'm seeing more and more people driving with their masks on. To me, that is dangerous. Not the coronavirus, but the fact that they can pass out and get into a wreck and possibly kill somebody else, too. And they'll probably say both died of the coronavirus on top of it. This is ridiculous, Mike. It's got to stop. People got to stop playing into their hands. Stop being so afraid. Think of those soldiers in World War II scaling the cliffs at Pont de Hoc there in France, okay, at Normandy. By the way, the French are disgusting too. I mean, this Macron, people just, we're the yellow vests. Get out in the street, riot, grab Macron out of his stupid little mansion or wherever he lives, and drag him through the streets. And as a matter of fact, if not nothing, get a guillotine. Like make him Louis, what was it, King Louis the 14th or the 16th?
16th.
Turn him into Louis the 15th? Okay, I'm sorry, one more. Turn him into King Louis the 15th. Disgusting, Mike. Britain, this clown Johnson, locking everything down. Okay, but we are the United States, but people are punking out around here. Stop wearing those stupid masks. All you're doing is you're showing that you're willing to be their slave. And for crying out loud, one problem, my big problem I have with Trump, and it's hard for me to really support him the way I'd like to, is he keeps talking about the vaccine. We don't want your vaccine, okay? We don't want the RNA vaccine that changes our DNA. We don't want it. I don't want any vaccine, okay? I haven't ever taken the flu vaccine, okay? And I never plan to either. And I haven't had the flu in over 20 years. By the way, Mike, you and me are probably around the same age, okay? So somewhere in the
You
neighborhood,
have my
okay?
deepest sympathies.
Yeah, I haven't gone around. I have, since this COVID nonsense has started, I haven't been wearing a mask except where I have to get into a store and wear it. And, as soon as I can, I take it off. And I don't even wear it properly. I usually have my mode so I can breathe out of my nose, okay? Or I flip it down, okay? But I haven't been wearing a mask. I've been going wherever I feel like going. I go to the grocery store, buy my groceries. I couldn't go to the gym for a while, but now I'm back at the gym, okay? All right? I'm not worried about the cold. I am worried about other things. Like I said, I cut myself over there today, and I worry about a staph infection.
Yes.
I'm in a very wooded area here. I worry about Lyme disease, okay? These are real. This is not real, okay? Stop hiding, folks. Get out from under your beds. Get out from under your masks. You know who I'm talking to, okay?
Yeah, I know who you're talking to. Let's not, don't mention
names around here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he hasn't even called lately. I wish he would, okay? But anyway, stop it, folks. Understand what this is. It's a ruse. They want to take away our freedoms. That's all they're trying to do. They want to, eventually, they want to kill us all. This is their plan. Look at Agenda, what is it, Agenda 30 or Agenda 21? Okay.
Well, it wasn't
Just look at
Agenda
that.
21. They didn't make it, so now it's Agenda 30.
Okay, now look at this Nazi there. That's Klaus Barbie. Well, no, not Klaus Barbie. Might as well be Klaus Barbie. Klaus, what's his last name? That's
not
Nazi
sure.
there in Germany. Huh?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
Oh, Klaus Schwab.
Okay. All right.
This little Nazi, okay? Descendant probably of the Hitler people. He was born around then, too. I looked it up. He was born in 1938. These people are evil, folks. Evil with a big E. And our Mr. Evil here is Bill Gates. Don't take the vaccine, folks. Take your masks off. Stop the silly social distancing. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and enjoy your Christmas. All right? And whatever holiday you have. In this case, people always talk about the Zionists. Well, I personally like the Hasids, what they're doing there in New York City. They're the only people taking on Cuomo that I know of. Taking on that little dictator Cuomo, okay? By not conforming, doing what they want to do. The same thing with the Pennsylvania Dutch, or what do you call it, the Amish.
The
They're not
Amish.
conforming to this
Yes.
garbage. The Amish. Yeah.
Yeah,
Folks, get it back
we see the
going.
Amish at Walmart, and no, they're not wearing masks.
Good. Folks, get a backbone. Get a pair. And by the way, these Republicans are disgusting too. Like your governor there, he's kowtowing to this stuff, even though that libertarian, I understand, challenged him, almost beat him. Okay. The same thing with Governor Abbott. He's not. So the part of Texas I was living in, I understand the people saying they're not really cooperating. They're rebelling. Idaho with that governor, I forget who his name is. He's also, there's a bunch of guys, and this clown there, Divine, what's his name? Divine there in Ohio.
Yes.
Just as bad as the Democrats. This is ridiculous, folks. Don't cooperate with these people. Enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. This is a cold that's going on. It's not the end of the world. It's not the Black Plague or the bubonic plague, whatever it was. Okay? This is a cold. Not even a flu. Most people who get it don't even have anywhere near the symptoms of the flu. I mean, the last time I had the flu, I had like 103.9 fever, but that was over 20 years ago. Take your vitamin D, take your zinc, eat your fresh fruits and vegetables, okay? Take maybe some fish oil, you'll be fine. You don't need that stupid mask. It's making you sick. That's all it's doing. And they're using the cold, when somebody catches a regular cold, they're saying everything now is COVID. You catch the flu, it's COVID. Everything you do is say it's COVID.
Yes.
Stop testing, folks. Stop these stupid tests. They're worth nothing. You see what Elon Musk said? Supposedly he has COVID, right?
Yes.
He said he had 4 tests the same day. 2 positive, 2 negative. These things are worthless. Even he's now speaking out. Even he's now saying he's not going to take the vaccine.
Yes.
Which is good that a guy like him says that. I don't particularly like the guy, but in this case, maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he's not that bad. You know? I don't know. Well, Mike, I don't want to take up any more time. Okay, I know you got other callers on the line. Hey, you know who? Call, please. I want to see what you have to say now. All right? Mr. New Jersey there. All right? Okay, that's all. Thanks.
All right, Mark, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Layla in Canada. Hello, Layla. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, the subject of systemic racism and Black Lives Matter. Why aren't they protesting the black-on-black killing in Africa? If Black Lives matter so much to them, then why are they not protesting the murder of one another in Africa, where they are killing possibly in the thousands? It's
Why aren't they
uncountable,
protesting
and that's been going
Parenthood,
on.
which is killing all these black babies?
Yeah, but it's just the issue of, the black on black killings have been going on in Africa for generations, for decades, for millennia. And in fact, that is how slavery was possible. The white men were always afraid to go into the dark heart or the darkness of Africa, and they would buy the black slaves that were sold to them by other tribes.
Yes.
So that they wouldn't have to risk their lives. But also the other thing, if we look at history, I mean, talk about systemic racism, why is it that all of Europe and much of the rest of the world was populated by people with lighter skin and blue eyes? Were they driven out of Africa? I mean, we know, for those of us who are old enough to remember when there were caricatures of Africans capturing one another and then boiling them and eating them in cauldrons. And they used to talk about, that's where the term shrink comes from, where they would shrink skulls and use them as decorations in their dwellings. That's where the term came from.
Yes.
So this concept with only white on black racism is such an absurdity. And just one final comment, since everyone is so concerned about COVID, they've been talking about the second wave since about July or August.
Yes.
They were preparing us for it. It is very easy for people to go into different communities that are populated and then spray the aerosolized form of whatever degree that this so-called COVID-19 is supposed to create symptoms within people. Human beings are now the most precious commodity besides money. They've amassed the money, the control of the global financial system.
Mm-hmm.
They have the power of the military. The other important thing is the other important commodity now is the human being. They are not going to kill off a lot of human beings that they want to be able to control, and they can do with nanotechnology injected into people. Of course, this vaccine is going to be effective because what is it combating? It is actually intended to instill things, in my opinion. I cannot speak for what others think, and I wouldn't encourage others to necessarily reject any therapies, because that is a personal decision. But it does, in my opinion, constitute a form of assault on a person's body. And
yes,
even
I agree.
the PCR, where they insert something into your nose, who knows what they're implanting in your nose with that thing that they're inserting in your nose. It too is a form, anything that goes into an orifice unwillingly is a form of assault. So there are so many things that are just not being discussed with regard to this. The timing when they started announcing the second wave was highly suspicious. And it's really, people have got to really be more cautious. And nothing will ever repair itself in the U.S. until we get rid of those who came with those caravans from Central and South America. We can fix everything, but as long as we have a very dangerous element existing within our midst that wants to bring down what they call imperialism, and they are Marxist, and so just look up just do a little bit of research on how many Marxist and communist events occurred in Latin America, Central and South America, and how many governments were controlled by Marxist and communist ideologies, or call it socialist, whatever. Basically, it amounts to the same thing. And
Okay,
they were
Layla.
in those caravans that were.
Okay, Layla, got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We got a bunch of callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here. And before we go back to the phones here, I want to share a little bit of history with you. Layla made mention of this stereotypical image of these primitive native people boiling other people in a big iron pot. Did you ever wonder how people just barely out of the Stone Age got those big iron pots? They got them from wrecked whaling ships. Those were the pots that were used to boil the blubber down into whale oil. And of course, that was really big business prior to the exploitation of subterranean petroleum. All right, we're going to go back to the phones. Peter in Los Angeles, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike.
Peter, there you
I'd
are.
like to have something in my lifetime. I can name 2 African rulers in our lifetime, yours and mine, in the 70s, who they were the leaders of the country who were cannibals. Idi Amin, when they finally overthrew him, had body parts in his refrigerator that he ate of his enemies. And another guy named Bokassa for the Central African Republic also cannibalized his opponents and people that but what I wanted to originally talk about, you called about the Boy Scouts. I know we've talked about this before. And when you were reading off about how, the Boy Scouts is basically gone, and I pointed out there were a couple stations I'm on Spectrum Cable. There would be a couple of the couple hundred, stations that had nothing but recruiting people for the class action suit against the Boy Scouts, which, of course, was enabled, Mike, by the LGBT movement and all that, the gay rights movement, when they insisted that the Boy Scouts have gay scoutmasters, knowing, and this was, of course, insisted by the people that control the paradigm and of what our social parameters are. And I think those are the people that can control Hollywood and the movies and the media. And inevitably, they brought the Boy Scouts down, which, of course, was always sort of a Christian organization, frankly.
Yes, it was.
That was successfully brought down. The other thing was, I wanted to point out that as you watch TV, and I've mentioned this before, how disrespected the 62% of the population, which is European American, how utterly disrespected we are, even as the dominant marketing group, the people with the largest part of the middle class, a big chunk of money to spend, and yet advertisement after advertisement, maybe there'll be 5 or 10 people in the ad, and maybe one, maybe none are white. We're absolutely disrespected, and again, these are the people that run. This is social engineering in its own way. That's what you see everywhere.
Yes.
And the other thing that I want to say, and I spent some time in Africa in the military that I can't even talk about unless I've had a half a fifth of liquor. It was so bad. But I can tell you, as you look back, and if we ever get together, I would tell you personally, but I don't even talk about it to my best friends. But when the explorers got there, you're talking about the metal pots and all that. When they got there, let's say 1870, right? The people who came in, the European explorers, when there were hundreds of universities in Europe, when there were cathedrals and cities and aqueducts and locomotives and mass production and steamships, celestial navigation, telegraph, on and on and on and on and on. And they get to a continent where there's almost no buildings that are over one story. There are almost no buildings that are brick. When there's no written language. And how in the world would you not have, how would you come away from that if you were one of those European people seeing this and not feel smugly superior, at least culturally?
Yes.
How could you possibly escape it? And so, yeah, I mean, and even now when you look at, the dropout rates, the crime rates, the achievement tests, all the stuff, it's hard to escape it. It's hard to say, well, geez, this tiny percentage of people doing all this crime, violent crime. But at any rate, I mean, it needs to go away. And like I said, I'm from a mixed family, and I've Ivy League people, including my daughter, in my family, but she's not the only one. And anything could be done, but how are you going to avoid and how do you overcome that when there wasn't even a two-story building, and they still haven't built a car in the entire continent. Still, there's no aircraft manufacturing there done. Still. And yet the cultural wars go on. I keep talking about the red tails. We've talked about that before. There's
Yes.
never been a black ace. Did you know that there's never 80 years since the Red Tails? There wasn't an ace in World War II, and there hasn't been an ace since. There's been Hispanic aces. The guy named Jabbar was tied for the
Peter,
top
I got to
US
let
ace
you go.
in career.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we got to let you go for commercial break. I got a bunch of callers waiting on the line when we come back after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Call me U.S. Steel, 21st Century Fox soundbite. Who gives a damn what's true or false, long as it leans to the right. At a token liberal, pretend I'm fair, a bimbo for some sex appeal. I'm busy oiling up the corporation wheel, and they call me
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Joe in Tennessee. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yeah.
Hello? I heard you briefly.
Hello, Bruce. Bruce?
No, this is Mike. Who is this?
No, this is Bruce in Texas. You said someone else's name in Tennessee.
Okay. Let's see. We're supposed to be talking with Joe in Tennessee, but Bruce in Texas. Okay. Bruce, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I won't be long because I don't have as much as I thought I would. I don't know if you're aware, but Rudy Giuliani is in federal court at this moment. pleading this case before the Middle District of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
They have the election pushed back because of in his case is the fact that in Philadelphia the election worker the election head honcho, I forgot his correct title, Mr. Bluestein, didn't allow observers in the middle of the night when they dumped all those ballots. 80,000 ballots, I believe, is in question here. And the thing is, the defense didn't seem to have much of a defense. They were saying, well, yeah, these essentially, you know, would this happen, but we need to move on. We need to move on, that type of rhetoric, you know. We need to let the state continue on and put their electors up on time. We can't have a delay. You know, that's essentially, and he was breaking up, and the phone system, I was listening on the phone. There's a phone number you can call and listen in on a conference call. And even the judge had to have him, you know, sir, I can't hear you. You're moving away from the mic. Can you please try again? I guess it was a conference call with the DNC's attorney. And then they had a recess. And now Rudy is given his case. And I haven't listened to it since I called in, which has been like half an hour now. So that's all I got for now, is that Rudy is in court and the ball is in play, and let's see what happens. So
yeah, it's you know, they even had a lower third out there about Giuliani being before a federal judge right now regarding what's going on in Pennsylvania. So thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to David in Boston. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. You can hear me okay, Mike, huh?
I can hear you just fine. You're on the air.
Okay, Mike, did you get the pictures of Donald and Ghislaine?
Yes, I did, and I didn't see anything lascivious. They looked like, you know, the kind of pictures you get at meet and greet opportunities. And the first thing that occurred to me is back when I worked in Hollywood, I went to a lot of parties and a lot of gatherings and a lot of, you know, industry get-togethers, and I got my picture taken with a lot of people whose names I did not know. And I don't think that we can really draw any definitive conclusion from this collection of photos, other than that Donald Trump was in the same room with Ghislaine Maxwell on these occasions. Now, and you know, before we start claiming that anything nefarious was going on, I think we need something a little bit more solid, you know, like emails between them or texts between them. Because again, it looked like your standard, you know, everybody get together, I'm going to take a picture kind of stuff.
Mike, first of all, Mike, true to form, you have to put a spin on my call. Listen carefully to every word that I say. I said it was bordering on lascivious. I didn't say it was out and out lascivious. I said it was, and it is. Let other people look at those pictures, and I think they'll agree with me.
I posted them.
Bordering
I
on
posted them to whatreallyhappened.com. You know, they can look at them themselves.
Right. And I've shown you those pictures because I don't know if you have, and I don't know if he's recently ever admitted it or what, but I heard him repeatedly, like shortly after Ghislaine was arrested, that he never met her, Mike. The point is that he said repeatedly that he never met her. Now, in those pictures, does it look like he met her?
It looked like he posed with her.
Well, that's me. Oh, come, Mike, listen to me. I want to tell you, Miles called in yesterday. Mr. 3 minutes went for 10 minutes. And, I have to call you out on something, Michael. He went on for 10 minutes with all kinds of nebulous innuendos. You were going right along with him, agreeing, yes, completely agreeing with him. Now listen to me, Mr. Rivero. You know doggone right well, for one thing, you know doggone right well that the upper management of RBN, and you know who the upper management of RBN is, he has one rule. Nobody is to call in on a Republic Broadcasting show and badmouth another Republic Broadcasting Network talk show host. You don't call into one RBN show and badmouth another RBN show. So it's disgraceful that you didn't call out Miles when he was saying somebody was calling in, and he might have been implying it was me that was badmouthing you. You should have stopped him in his tracks, Mr. Rivero, and you should have said, hey, be specific. Which show? Because RBN doesn't tolerate one Republic Broadcasting show bad-mouthing another Republic Broadcasting show. So
yeah, but there wasn't a show that was bad-mouthing me. According to Miles, it was the call-in guest who was bashing me, and I don't think the rule covers that.
No, but the talk show, the RBN talk show host wouldn't put up with it. Even the board op would cut him right off. If somebody was bad-mouthing you on an RBN show, he'd be cut right off either by the board operator or the show. Now, how come? Now, you don't even realize, but when he first started talking, he was actually talking about you. Because you know how you said that Trump hasn't done enough to clean up the election system, to clean it up, and then he started off and he's saying there's someone that says that Trump hasn't done anything, and it was the blue states that stopped him from this and that. Mike, I'm telling you, those two Republicans are ruining your show. They're poisoning your show. I'm convinced, the more I listen to this, I'm convinced, and it was probably Miles from Maine, that put that white guy up to calling into the show, because the more I reflect on that call, the only ones he attacked were the people that kind of indicated they were sympathetic towards the Constitutional Party. Those are the only. Isn't it awful funny that those are the? And then he even attacked Jim from New York, because Jim said that he believed that in America. And I would have thought you would have believed this too, Mr. Rivero. That in America we have one man and one vote. And
well, not anymore. We don't.
Why don't you?
Not
tell,
anymore.
Why
We don't. No, we don't anymore. They just arrested 2 guys for faking 8,000 ballot registrations. So it's not one man, one vote. Anyway, thank you very much for the phone call, David. We're going to let you go here because we're getting short on time and we got a bunch of callers. Alan in Illinois. Hello, Alan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi. I have a quick comment about Donald Trump's legal problems. And what I saw is an update about a spree killer named Nicholas Cruz. You may recall 2 years ago, he slaughtered 17 children in a high school. And he also shot up another 17 children and teachers. And this news bite that I saw about him, what's going to happen now that he's finally going to trial is the lawyers on both sides are going to have to interview and examine over 140 witnesses. Now, think that's going to be somewhere between $25 and $50 million to give this monster his legal due. And he has no legal due. He has no due process rights because he was caught and arrested in the act. So he should have been executed a year and a day after he committed the crime. Now, contrast that to the way Donald Trump is being ridiculed in the mainstream media, where they're saying, well, he's only got a couple of weeks and he's got to get it done, and there's no free money for him to do this. You know what I'm saying? This is arrived at a level of absurdity.
Yes.
It's kind of like I'm not boggled. I feel like vomiting sometimes when I think about this.
Yeah, well, my mind boggles as well here, and we've been seeing it for the last 4 years. We've been seeing the corporate media willingly sacrifice its own credibility with these constant attacks on the President of the United States of America. We've seen social media destroy their own credibility by literally censoring the President of the United States. Okay, and whether you like him or not, he is the president. He won the election in 2016. And, you may not respect the man, but you have to respect the office.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time, so I'm going to get off now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much here, and we're going to switch to Dave in Maryland. Hello, Dave. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind today?
Yo, what's going on, Mike? How you doing?
Doing fine.
Yo, I just wanted to say first off, Dave from Boston. Yo, you tell him, brother. I know he's upset. I can feel it in his voice. You hear it.
Hello, Dave, are you there?
Yeah, you
Oh,
could
okay.
hear it in his voice.
Okay, I
Dave,
thought we lost
no,
you.
Dave from Boston.
Yeah.
No, Dave from Boston. You can hear it in his voice, right?
Yes, I can hear he's upset.
Yeah, but guess what? At the end of the day, Joe Biden is your president right now.
No, he won't be president until January 20th.
Yeah, okay, but guess what? He's going to be the president.
Well, maybe we don't know yet. We don't know yet. I mean, this election is completely illegitimate.
Yeah, but you don't have any proof of that.
Well, that's what Giuliani's in federal court right now trying to establish. I mean, Project Veritas has released, I've lost count of the number of tapes of whistleblowers who've come forward. There's that video capture from CNN where they showed 16,000 votes jumping from Trump to Biden. That was caught, and that's gone viral. I mean, that to me, that's clear evidence of fraud right there.
Mike, Rudy Giuliani should be in prison for his cover-up of 9/11. When they sent all the steel over to China and all that stuff. Don't ever forget that.
Okay, well, let's talk about the presidential election, shall we? And not be drawn off topic. The fact is there is a huge amount of evidence for election fraud, and it doesn't matter whether you're for Biden or... Okay, Dave, got to let me take a turn, my radio show. It doesn't matter if you're for Biden or for Trump. The issue here is whether the American people still maintain control over their own government. And if we don't, then that's the death of the republic, and we've got some real problems to deal with.
Yeah, that's cool, Mike. I understand. But at the end of the day, like I said, Joe Biden is the president now. And nobody's going to do anything about it.
He will not be president until January 20th.
Do I get to say anything, Mike? Listen.
Yeah, as long as you don't come up with stupid things like Biden's the president. Not yet, he isn't.
Okay, I'll give you that. For the past 4 years, could you imagine that if it was Hillary that was president? What would the so-called patriots have done? You know what I'm saying? Like, so just imagine. So imagine the last 4 years. Imagine if it was Hillary that has you wearing a mask right now. It's basically like a burqa, right? It's basically a burqa. You know, everybody was worried about Sharia law and all this nonsense. So for the past 4 years, imagine if it was Hillary Clinton that was president. What would have been different?
Well, certainly we would not have slept anywhere near as well here. I mean, Hillary is as corrupt as they come, and it looks like Biden is, at least in the number 2 position, if not aiming for the brass ring, with all the stuff that's come out about Hunter. Anyway, Dave, we're running out of time, and we got a bunch of callers here, so we're going to switch to Patty in South Florida. Hello, Patty. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes. Oh, hi, Mike. Oh, what a pleasure it is to talk to you. You got the best show ever.
Thank you.
Riveting, particularly the beginning. I just wanted to clarify something, or maybe you could correct me, because I was wrong for many years. I thought Agenda 21 meant the year 2021. But
It did.
I found out it's actually for the whole century. It's like the Chinese, the Japanese, they make 100-year plans. So this Agenda 21, it really was planned a lot longer, began in 2000, and within the 100-year plan, there are marks. 2020 is a mark, 2025 is a mark, 2030 is another mark, 2050 is another mark, but it's all under Agenda 21.
Well, they've renamed it to Agenda 30, so I don't know how well your theory holds up on that.
Well, Agenda 30 falls within Agenda 21.
Okay.
It's a milestone within the century. Agenda 21 is the 21st century.
Okay.
It's the whole 100 years.
Well, that would be in line with the Project for the New American Century.
Like people make 5-year plans. They made 5-year plans all the way through. Big marks are Agenda 2025. Another big mark within Agenda 21 is 2050. But every year it is another, they're just moving along in a 100-year plan. The 100-year plan is called Agenda 21. Within
Okay.
Agenda 21, there's Agenda 21. There's all these mini goals along the way. And I found that through property manager, what's her name? Rosa Corey, who's been following property regulations, water rights, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. I know you must have 1 million callers. Great show.
Well,
Thank you,
I don't know
Mike.
how many
God bless
callers
you.
we potentially have. We only have a few phone lines here, which is why we need your help to get more equipment here. So we're going to switch over here to Dan in Washington. And Dan, I'm probably going to have to take you through the next commercial break. What's on your mind?
Thanks for taking the call. I just wanted to say real quick, I called in like a couple months ago. There is a video by Whitney Webb, and she is a great source for all the Epstein stuff, but she's interviewing one of the girls that was basically kind of a sex worker for Epstein and the Rothschilds. And Donald Trump's wife used to go around and get the girls for Epstein. They have super close connections, and I think Trump disappeared Epstein. People blame it on Hillary, but that's nonsense. It's definitely Trump. Whitney Webb is a good source on YouTube and all that to find out about Trump and the connections with Les Wexner in Ohio.
Okay, well, Dan, okay, hang on to the line here. We're going to take a break for commercials. Back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out thekosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri. 417-932-6419.
Watch out for the police. They're lurking in every corner. They'll beat you down for your stash. With handcuffs and guns, I bet they're having fun when they take away your cash. They're on the rise, this oversized gang of pirates on the seas.
Welcome back to our show here. Last segment of our program today. Here we're talking with Dan in Washington. And Dan, I've heard absolutely nothing about Melania Trump having anything to do with Jeff Epstein's little pedophile paradise. And I'd like to know where you got that claim.
I don't think it was Melania. It was his first wife. And it's called, I got the video, it's called The Head of the Snake. Head of the Snake, Wexner, Maxwell, Mossad. And she's interviewing Maria Farmer, who was basically like a 16-year-old girl that was basically a call girl for all these people. So check out the movie. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
I'd recommend that one. So that's all I had.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
it was
Dan.
his first wife. I don't quote me on that. I think it was his first wife, but they were definitely connected with getting the girls.
Okay. Well, we definitely
it's a big
need to have
operation.
a little more accuracy here. And thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. And before I take another phone call, I don't know if you're noticing as much as I am the number of callers we're getting that are still bashing and attacking Trump. And to me, that is signaling that the Democrats are not confident they're going to pull off this election theft. But we'll see what happens in the courts. If the election is declared invalid by the Supreme Court, it goes to the House of Representatives and Trump gets his second term. Let's go to Steve Elkins. Hello, Steve. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind today?
Well, I did a long day on November 3rd. I did a pre-show with Crucial Nonsense Dave and Steve Stars on KHNC out in Colorado, 2 hours a pre-show. And then I did 4 hours with John and then, of course, Don Campbell on election night. And I watched the election on the ticker here on my phone, and I watched the flip. I saw the flip happen. And I started thinking about it a couple of days ago, the flip. Now, if you think you're going to flip something, you don't want the visual. You don't want people to see it and recognize it in real time here. You want to do it in the after hours when they're all asleep. So I started thinking about here, after finding out about the Dominion, when I talked to you about it a couple of days ago in Skittle, and how the servers were in Germany, and they were tabulating, they were stopping the vote, they were figuring out which algorithm they were going to use. I started figuring about that. They called California before they called Florida, and I'm talking about a 3-hour time difference here. So that's ridiculous to do so. So I started doing the math here, and of course in California, it would be 8 hours ahead in Germany time, Frankfurt. So that would put it, I think it was at 3 in the morning. So that makes sense. These manufacturers, these fraudsters of the election themselves, had not thought of the region, time zones at all. They simply thought, oh, we'll flip it in the night. Well, it was their night, not our night. So it was kind of visual for us to see it. Wow, it's happening right now. A complete flip from 50% Trump up to 20-something% for Biden. And then suddenly, boom, just the opposite. So these people had not thought of the time zones when they decided to start doing their manufacturing and flipping and dumping.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's it for me, Mike. By the way, have we heard anything from Bev Harris, who's actually one of the experts on fraud, voter fraud, and election fraud?
Not yet. I'll make a point of getting in touch with her and her website tomorrow. My apologies to the callers who could not get on the air. We got really, really busy today. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Please spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.